Bishop Alistair, this weekend, this coming weekend, is going to be a weekend of celebration as we approach the climax in June of the Jubilee celebrations. What kind of an atmosphere do you think this whole Jubilee is creating in our nation at this time?
I think it's bringing out three things that are really important for everybody. One is affection. People are so grateful for the Queen and how she's done this wonderful job, this public figure with all the trials that other people face, and yet she's there, she does it so well. Earlier this year I was at an event that she attended and she spoke beautifully, in command of everything. She gives time to people. So affection, she draws feelings out of people that are good and positive and grateful. Second thing I think that the weekend is highlighting is loyalty. People are proud to be associated with this woman, what she stands for, and our country. And we need to be reminded of that, and she does that superbly. And then I think the third thing that is surfacing and needs to, and is exciting, is people realise that with affection and loyalty comes a desire to be a good citizen, to act out being proud of your country, proud of your tradition, proud of your Queen. And I'm seeing people owning that and having a very positive attitude, not just about the Queen, but about our nation and about our call in the world, really.
You mentioned an event you went to earlier in the year when she touched on a very difficult aspect of her reign, the rise of pluralism and multi-faith Britain, and yet at the same time the perceived demise of the established church. And she very cleverly brought the two together and said actually one works in tandem with the other. With your interfaith hat on, how much do you welcome that interpretation of the current situation?
Well, I think it was masterly. It came, if you remember, at a time when there was a lot of debate in the press about the new atheism and are we a secular country. And the Queen said very simply that the established church, of which she's head, holds the ring really. It provides an umbrella, was the image, under which all her citizens can pursue whatever faith they have in harmony. It's a holding operation. We provide a common ground with her as an established church that people can come together to meet, to explore what faith's about, to debate with those of no faith. But it's a space that we own together. And you require a structure to do that. A structure that has faith, that believes in the goodness of God and the purposes of creation. I think she's proud to be head of that space, and it makes sense of what she is as a monarch. So I think she spoke very beautifully about that, and we need reminding, because the church so often, under these attacks, thinks we've just got to survive, we've just got to bat for ourselves. And that's not what the gospel's about that we've been given. What we've got to do is be there for everybody on their terms. That's what a parish is there for anybody who lives in the area.
You're one of the few people in Derbyshire who have seen the Queen close up on several occasions. I mean, there was a memorable visit for the Maundy service a couple of years ago and so on. But you've seen her at various things as a bishop. Everybody at this moment's got an excuse. Obviously, there's a lot of protocol in what you can and can't say. But what type of a person have you seen when you've been close up to Her Majesty? Because a lot of people in Derbyshire would be fascinated. What type of a woman is she?
I've got two images, really. I was very privileged to go to be amongst the party who welcomed the Pope when he visited. And the Queen was there to welcome him in Edinburgh into our land. And I was privileged to be part of that. And at one very human level, there's the Pope and the Queen, both in their 80s, and they both made speeches. And in one sense, there were two elderly people, both fairly small, both a bit bent, just in one sense very ordinary people. But in another sense, both carrying magnificently enormous responsibilities and representing all of us. And I've got this lovely picture of her in Edinburgh as she spoke to the interfaith group more recently, with poise, a proper passion but a controlled one, and a real gracefulness to everybody. And then when she came to Derby for the Maundy, for instance, I was privileged to be close to her. Everybody she meets, they light up. She, just for that moment, gives you her attention, her interest. Sometimes she'll ask a question and draw something out of a person. She puts them at their ease. She's got a remarkable gift. And then when I've been privileged to meet her myself, when I was appointed Bishop of Derby, and you go to do homage, She knew an awful lot about Derby and the Diocese of Derby. She'd done her research. She was really interested in the diocese, where it was going, what the bishops are trying to do in the Church of England. She was really clued up and interesting. So I think she's got this wonderful ability to relate to individuals, to understand the big picture, whether it's the church or society. And yet there she is, she's a lady in her 80s with a very human touch. And she wears brilliant hats.
Finally, that's something perhaps you could say you've got in common, yeah. But finally, and this is very important, when in the Andrew Marr series that was on earlier in the year, there's this kind of portrayal of the death of Diana being a kind of nodal point in the history of modern monarchy. And a few people suggested that we may never recover as a nation from that. But actually, there's been another phase of renewal, and the new princes kind of bringing new hope and optimism. On this Jubilee weekend and month and so on, are you more optimistic than ever that the monarchy will survive as an institution in Britain?
Of course it will. It's in our DNA, really. I think the death of Diana was a great tragedy, and people partly handle it by hyping it up as this significant event in the life of the monarchy. If you look at the history of the monarchy, there's been plenty of other very significant events. Why it survives is because amidst all the ups and downs, which any institution has and any life has, there's really this quality of leadership and commitment which our present Queen has displayed to us that gives us a focal point, a person and an office to be proud of, to serve under, and really to give society a shape and a future. I think that's as strong as ever, really, and given all the pluralism and diversity of the 21st century, we're really blessed to have a person in this role and doing it with such style and such gracefulness.
Bishop Alistair, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.